Hello everyone, welcome back to Fix the Family. My name is Raylan Alama and we are bringing you truth without compromise for the family. Welcome to our series on Catholic masculinity. In this segment, we'll be talking about focus. And within this topic of focus, we'll consider goals as well as challenges to focus in the ways of distractions and programming and indoctrination. Now, focus is the ability to maintain our concentration on the task at hand as well as on a long-term plan that we've undertaken. Men tend to be able to compartmentalize the things that they have to do. And let's face it, men, we wear a lot of hats in any given day. We might be a businessman, a leader, a husband, father, a friend, an athlete. There's all sorts of things that we're going to be involved with. So the trick is, whichever thing we're doing, that's what we want to stay focused on. And our mind might tend to wander off to one of these other things that we're required to do. So the important thing to do there is to have the discipline and control to return our focus back to what it is we're doing at that given time. Now, one thing I have to do from time to time is if my mind will drift off, I'll remember something that I have to do, but I can't really address it right now. I will place a reminder on some kind of device or on a computer so that it will alert me whenever the proper time is to take care of that. But other than that, we want to keep our focus on the thing we're doing at the given time. A powerful tool within focus is going to be goals. It helps us to achieve the things that we need to achieve and that are the higher purposes. The first step with setting a goal is first you got to know what you want, right? And that came to us, with my wife and I, early on when we first started having children. And we became very concerned, because we looked around and we saw, difficulties that kids were having. And some very often see kids, even from good homes, go in a very bad direction and fall away and take up very poor lifestyles. So we were trying to figure out, what is it that caused some to do well and some to not do well at all. And we encountered some families who were doing some things different and who were getting much better results. So we went to those families to find out what they were doing. Again, that became our goal. We focused on that particular thing and started to do the things that they were doing, and lo and behold, we came out with similar good results. Now, people will tend to set goals in some of the more ordinary and responsible things of life, but they might overlook that idea of having a goal for their family. Might just think it, haphazardly. You can't really do anything different, anything about it, but actually you can. But for goals in general, they need to be specific and time sensitive. And so we're going to have goals that are going to range in time. We're going to have short-term, midterm, and long-term goals. Short-term might be from 1 to 3 years. Medium will be 3 to 5, and then long-term, 5 to 10 years. And that played itself out for me in my particular career. As I first got into it, I worked with groups of people for a while, and then I realized that it was going to be beneficial for me to have the flexibility of being self-employed and just working for myself independently. So I did that, and then later on into that, realized that it would be best if I had my location, my work location, in very close proximity to my family and to my home. Well, that goal went from long-term to midterm to finally a short-range goal. In 2009, in the summer, I made the decision I wanted to have an office building built before the end of the year. So very short-range goal right there, but there I made the decision and I put a date on it. I came across a couple of little tips that I want to share with you here. One was to take the goal and write it out specifically on an index card, and to always carry it with you. Look at it first thing in the morning and read it, and look at the results. Again, results that it's going to give for us with a pleasant mind, pleasant feelings. Look at it when going to bed. And throughout the day, anytime anything that would come up that would maybe be discouraging or cause a fear or anything, to take that card out and look at it. Also have a picture of the finished product, and to look at that every morning and every night, and remember that image whenever looking at this card, and whenever anything negative or obstacles might come up that might stop that goal from being achieved. And that's what I did. And I actually have pictures and video of me and my sons walking my furniture into that office on December 31st, 2009, the same date that's on that card. And look, there was tons of obstacles that came into the way. It should have easily been done on time, but it took every bit of time that I gave it. But those obstacles that came along, we found ways to overcome them and still reach the destination at the time and the date that we had specified. Now let's look at some challenges to our focus. First, distractions. And we live in a world where there's tons of things grabbing for our attention. There's media everywhere. We have devices, computers, tablets, cell phones, the whole bit. And a lot of these things are very good and helpful to us, and we need to have them available in order to compete and to function in this advanced society that we live in. But one thing we need to keep in mind is that there's a lot of negativity out there, and so we need to be able to shut that out. One example of that would be the news media. And so I'd come across a program one time that said, just try getting away from the news. And so I tried it, just cut it out cold turkey. And so how do you find out what's going on? Well, if something's going on, somebody's going to tell you. And, if not, you're around people, just ask them. They'll be glad to share with you what they know is going on. It's a social tool, as well as, it'll make them feel good that they know something, and they're more than willing to share it with you and let you know that they know what's going on. But as I tried that, I realized that less and less of these things really had an impact on my day-to-day life, and they really became distractions. And so I was able to move that out of the picture completely, and I came to the realization that I'm not going to turn that TV on or that radio on and let somebody else tell me what was important in my life that particular day. I was going to be more proactive about my life. I was going to look at my goals, look at the results that I want, and I was going to set about the activities that I had to execute in order to reach those particular goals and outcomes and results. And so it makes for a much more pleasant lifestyle, because typically the news is going to be full of negativity and bad things that have happened. So we need to determine what it is we're going to take in. A good thing about this, the media that we do have and the internet and things, is that we can, whenever we do need to know something, we can actually go and get it at that particular time. You don't have to sit through a full newscast to see if there's some particular thing that you need to know about, or a whole weathercast or wait through the commercials to get the weather. You can immediately go to your device or go to your computer, find out the weather, be done with it. Much more efficient if we can keep control over those things and not allow them to become a distraction. An important thing to do is to know what you want. Find a person who has got the results that you want and go ask them how they got it. That will help you to again avoid the distractions and do the productive activities that are going to get you to the place where you want to be. Finally, let's talk about programming and indoctrination. And a lot of that has to do with the entertainment that's out there. but also, other media to an extent. But the reason that these things are out there, we need to realize, is that, somebody is wanting us to part with our time and part with our dollars in order for us to give it over to them. If we go into something with that, knowing that ahead of time, we'll again, maintain our level of dignity and standards and not turn that over into what is their way they might be trying to indoctrinate or program us. Give her, for instance. There's television programming out there and movies and such. And you'll start to see that certain fads and styles will come about. And today, the styles of clothing for females is pretty wretched. They're encouraged to dress like trash. And in order to, influence men. So, we need to look at that and say, well, God has created people, males and females, to have a higher dignity than that. And men, we need to protect our wives and daughters from falling into those kinds of traps. Men are encouraged to just dress sloppy, and so we can't allow those things that are in these particular programs to influence us. We still need to maintain our standards. These are things of pleasure, either to fit in or to be comfortable. But again, the life of a Catholic is one of sacrifice, of being uncomfortable if we need to be uncomfortable, to raise ourselves to the level of dignity of where God has created us to be. Let's look at what the Catechism has to say about these particular things and these pleasures and such. In paragraph 2535, it says, "The sensitive appetite leads us to desire pleasant things we do not have. These desires are good and of themselves, but often exceed the limits of reason and drive us to covet unjustly what is not ours and belongs to another or is owed to him." So to do things well, we have to strive for excellence, and we have to maintain that focus. And in order to focus, we have to be able to weed out those distractions and those things of programming and indoctrination. So thank you for coming on into this segment here on Focus. Come back next time. We'll be talking about standards in our series on Catholic masculinity here at Fix the Family. My name is Raylan Alamo, and God bless you.